Kevin Durant may be one of the best basketball players in the world, but he's also one of the most active Twitter users in the NBA. Often, the MVP can be found on a social media website, either defending his teammates or defending his legacy. He also makes fun of fans who dare to put his handle on something controversial. This and much more from the world of NBA in today's video. Kevin Durant delivers hilarious response when asked about when his prime started. Another one of Durant's famous fan responses went viral, and this one may be the best one yet. At KDTray5 asked, "When would you say your prime started? I'm trying to show somebody something." Then Durant said, September 29th, 1988. For those who don't know, KD was born on September 19th, 1988. He is basically saying that his prime began when he was born. Even though Durant's response was hilarious and epic, he still has to answer some bigger questions this year. Kevin Durant is ready to be the team's leader. After a messed up summer, the Boston Celtics beat the Nets in an embarrassing way in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs last year. In the weeks after that series, Durant asked his team's owner, Joe Tsai, to trade him. This made the whole league go crazy. But Durant couldn't find a team over the summer, so he had to make peace with the Nets and come back to play with Steve Nash, Kyrie Irving, and Ben Simmons. Now Durant can see that this team gives him a chance to win big. Durant told reporters, "I felt like we had a good team. I thought this was where I said I wanted to be. We started making plans for the future so that we could be a strong team. So to be honest, I still thought this was a good choice. In the big picture, we haven't been healthy at all for the past 2 years. We didn't have any big players in the playoffs. So when you had Joe and Ben on your bench for $50 million during the last playoffs, I wanted to see what our team looked like as a whole. Time will tell, of course, what kind of season the Nets will have this year. On the one hand, it could all go wrong after last year's chaos. On the other hand, things might only get better from here on out. We already know what to expect from Kevin Durant. Every night, no matter which of his teammates show up to play, he does a great job, and there's no reason to think this time will be any different." Next up, Giannis Antetokounmpo finally clapped back at people who say he doesn't have basketball skills. Many people say that Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player in the NBA and the world. He has won the MVP award more than once. Antetokounmpo is a giant on both ends of the court. When he's on offense, he's unstoppable, and when he's on defense, he shuts down the best players. His game as a whole has gotten better every year he's been in the NBA. He went from being a nobody to being one of the best to ever play the game by the time he was 27. But some people still have doubts about Giannis, even though his story is inspiring and he has done a lot. When James Harden thought he should have won more MVPs than the Greek Freak, he kind of called him out by saying that running and dunking like Giannis doesn't take any skill. Gilbert Arenas also made a lot of noise during the offseason when he said that Antetokounmpo might not be a smart basketball player and that he still doesn't understand the game. Most of the time, Giannis doesn't care about these things because he does his talking on the court. Even though he poked fun at Arenas, he hadn't said much about this story about how he supposedly wasn't very good. But Antetokounmpo finally talked about it with the media and made a great point about what it takes to be successful in the NBA. To be great, you need more than skills. People don't understand that. Even if you're the most skilled person on earth, you might not get into the NBA. It's not about skills in the NBA. It's much harder to win. LeBron has been in the league for 20 years. When you think of LeBron, consistency comes to mind. For 20 years, he's been great. Edge, think about MJ, about getting better. Obsession, Kobe, you're crazy. Steph, KD, like, it's not just skills. Giannis' answer is very honest, and he has done a great job of putting his thoughts out there. The Greek Freak is obviously a student of the game and knows what it takes to be the best. And no matter what people say about Antetokounmpo, he has the hardware to back it up, which is something that only a few NBA players have been able to do. However, Kevin Durant disagrees with Giannis Antetokounmpo's take on skill not being the most important thing in the NBA. Even though Giannis is a star, Kevin Durant has done just as much as he has. KD is one of the best players in the world right now and one of the best scorers the NBA has ever seen. So it was interesting that he chose to respond when he saw a part of Antetokounmpo's quote on Instagram. "You can have all the skills in the world and still not get into the NBA. It's not about skills in the NBA. In my humble opinion, mind and skill go hand in hand. Every great person had both." What Durant is saying does make sense. It doesn't matter how smart you are if you don't have any skills. Giannis wasn't saying that skills aren't important. He was just saying that a player's mindset is what makes them stand out. And it might still be true, since a certain level of skill is needed for a player to do well in the NBA. This season, Kevin Durant and Giannis Antetokounmpo will be in a battle on all fronts. Both will want the MVP award and the championship, and it's likely that they will have to go through the other to get it. The best way to settle this debate is on the court, and another 7-game series between the Bucks and the Nets would be a feast for NBA fans. In other NBA news, Patrick Beverley vows to never stop pestering his rival, Chris Paul. Patrick Beverley is now a Laker, but that hasn't changed anything about how he thinks or feels. And when it comes to Chris Paul, the star player for the Suns, Pelicans, Beverley's opinion of him hasn't changed in years. The Lakers guard said on his brand new podcast that he will never stop fighting against CP3, who turned 37 in May. He told his co-host that he just doesn't like Paul as a basketball player, but he couldn't say why. Beverley said, "We playing outside. I'm picking up his up to 94 feet, directly up. I'm going to keep bothering his behind until he retires or until my effing ankles pop. I don't do it that way for most people, but I do it that way for him. I don't understand. I used to think Chris Paul as one of the big bros. I really liked CP. I did. I just started to compete a lot. Even though they may have thought of each other as brothers in the past, it's clear that they don't get along very well now. Over the years, the two have taken many shots at each other. Most recently, Paul from Beverly was harshly criticized on live TV. There are, of course, still some problems between Chris Paul and Patrick Beverley. Finally, Zion Williamson admits he was in a dark place during injury recovery last season. A few years ago, Zion Williamson was one of the brightest stars in the basketball world, but now, after missing a whole season and with the rise of other promising young players like Victor Wembanyama, Williamson is in uncharted territory going into the 2022-23 season. If he wants to get back to being one of the best players in the league, he will have to prove a lot. So far, Williamson seems to be in a good mood as he gets ready for another long season of 82 games. However, he did say that it took him a while to get over what he called a dark place last year. Williamson didn't play a single game because of injuries and things that came up out of the blue. This made the Pelicans and the rest of the world wonder if he'd ever be the same. Even now, there are questions about Zion's weight and how long he will be able to play. Williamson said all the stress put a huge weight on him that was sometimes almost too much for him to handle. On the basketball court, we have all seen what Zion can do. When he's healthy, he's one of the best players in the league. Still, it's not clear if he has what it takes to take the Pelicans far enough in the playoffs. This could be the year with CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, and others. As long as that isn't the case, there will still be doubts. Unfortunately, guys, that is all the time we had for today. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Till next time, cheers!